Manna Mostaghim about this, PhD candidate in the Health Policy Department at the London School of Economics and a spokesperson for pro-choice organisation Abortion Rights. Manna, we'll talk about some of the issues this throws up, but just first of all, your thoughts specifically on this story.
I think the barrister for the defence, Fiona Horlick, said it perfectly. The facts of this case are a tragedy, but they're not a crime. And I think it speaks to the fact that the Abortion Act, as Professor Sally Sheldon says, is a tangle of archaic, overlapping, punitive criminal prohibitions that are only partially mitigated by a statute that it's shaped by a very different moral set of norms and clinical realities of the late 1960s. So, in short, in this country, abortion law is not fit for purpose. And we need to decriminalise abortion now because what public interest do cases like this serve?
Decriminalise all of it, Manna?
Yeah, decriminalise abortion. Yeah.
What makes you say that?
I think the way that abortion law is set up now is we have to remember that there is no other healthcare procedure that is subject to criminal sanction across the board. And decriminalisation does not mean deregulation. Like with all healthcare procedures, abortion will still be subject to healthcare procedures and regulation that will mitigate anything that would otherwise be objectionable in any other form of healthcare. But by criminalising abortion, we place abortion in a specialised category that no other healthcare intervention has in this country. And it is a procedure that comes with significant stigma and taboo that places undue pressure on pregnant people.
Is that not because it's the only sort of area of healthcare where it's not just one person's life but another one that is being discussed?
I think it's objectionable to talk about it in terms of two lives when the life of the pregnant person is the life that we can speak to specifically.
Sure,
in terms of the consent.
I appreciate that, of course, but there are all I'm saying is there are two lives involved here, so it is different to other areas of healthcare, is what I'm suggesting.
I think I would argue that it's a pregnant person and a fetus.
So you would say that a viable baby that's 39 weeks old is not alive?
I think we need to speak to specifics of the case at hand. And I think the people who are in the best position to organise a decision in that case is the pregnant person and medical professionals who are equipped and trained to deal with it. I don't think it's something that should be subject to criminal sanction or should be subject to court procedures in order to make a decision about when an abortion should and shouldn't occur.
So just to be really clear, you would like to see the law changed to make it completely legal to have an abortion right up until the point of birth?
I think this sort of conversation is kind of misleading because we know the majority of abortions occur within, so it's 92% of abortions occur in the first 10 weeks.
Sure.
So I think by creating a language in which we're talking about abortions up until 39 weeks is actually kind of misleading.
But why is it misleading? I'm just asking what you would like the law to be changed to and whether you would like it to be legal. Even, I appreciate it might be a small number of cases, but whether even in those small number of cases, people would be legally entitled to have an abortion right up until the point of birth.
Again, and I think that would be a conversation for a pregnant person and a medical professional to conduct. It's not for the law at all to say. I think it's not for the law at all to say, and I think it's really important to note that in cases in which abortions do occur later on, because abortions are legal up until 39 weeks in this country at the moment, if cases of fetal abnormality or significant cost to the life of the pregnant person is at play. So we already have that, and the decisions are already made by the pregnant person and the medical professional. So it's already sanctioned. We're talking about removing it from the criminal code so that people are not subject to criminal investigations and prosecutions for abortions. I think it's also really important to remember that this is an incredible waste of resources. As Jonathan Law detailed, for 4 years, Nicola Packer was pursued with, in his words, notable zeal. And this included police resources, which a detailed analysis of Packer's confiscated electronic devices and work computers were organised. There was detailed forensic tests for more than 200 drugs, and there was several specialists, medical specialists, who were commissioned to do postmortems of multiple tissue samples and a number of organs. And this is not the only case wherein which a significant number of resources have been dedicated to pursuing pregnant people who have had intended or unintended pregnancy losses. So we've had cases where people who have had unintended pregnancy losses have been subject to years-long criminal investigation. And there was a case reported by the BBC last year wherein a person had selected to purchase abortion pills, had not even pressed purchase, and this was used as a source of evidence to pursue criminal investigation against her. This is a colossal waste of resources. Whether it is intended or unintended, it's not a just or compassionate response. And it seems so nonsensical in a country that has reported damning findings on the state of maternity care services in the birth trauma report that was released last year, where IVF is subject to a postcode lottery and miscarriage services are under-resourced and hard to access, where midwives are contributing 100 hours of free labour per week to sustain maternity care services in this country. To dedicate resources away from the NHS, away from caring for pregnant people, and instead pursuing people who have had intended or unintended pregnancy losses.
Just finally, I think a lot of people will feel an emotional or an instinctive sort of difference between aborting a full-term viable baby and aborting one that is, you know, as you say, less than 10 weeks, for example. What would you say to those people, Manna?
I would say to them, do you think that these sorts of decisions should be decided in a courtroom? Do you think any kind of response is going to be beneficial in a courtroom? Should we not act with care and compassion? Should we not dedicate our resources to the NHS so people who find themselves in circumstances where in difficult circumstances within their pregnancy cannot access other resources? Why do we want to pursue and dedicate and allocate our resources to pursuing these people in courtrooms when we could be offering them support in hospital rooms?
Manna, really interesting. Thank you for coming on and talking to us this morning. Manna Mostaghim is PhD candidate in the Health Policy Department at the London School of Economics and a spokesperson for Abortion Rights, which is a pro-choice organisation. If you've got thoughts on that,